I was raised on the blocks where you can always hear them pop. But something kept me pushing and it never let me stop. It never let me quit and it never let me drop. And I'ma tell you what it is, it was that real hip hop. Let's go!
The moment that you found out that you're going to be a father, describe the waves of emotions that came over you.
I was excited because we were actually, I know a lot of fathers or a lot of, B-boys that don't expect to have a kid. It's like a surprise to them, but then we kind of planned this, we got married. We actually set a date when we were going to actually start trying. And fortunately, it ended up working out within that year that we planned it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was excited. It wasn't like a surprise to me when she told me it was on Mother's Day, so it was like perfect.
Dang.
Yeah, and yeah, ever since we had our daughter, she's a 1.5 years now, it's just been like the biggest blessing, man. Yeah, it's been cool.
Dope. What about you, ATN?
It was definitely not planned, but it was a welcome surprise.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of panic, for sure.
Right.
Anxiety, fear of the unknown, but ultimately, happiness.
Yeah, I think for me it was definitely a surprise, but I was immediately just happy, and I was super excited. And I think I was just a little naive, I was young, and just in the fact of when I heard, I just really just thought about, wow, like, we created a life and all that, so I was super amped. But at the same time, I don't think I knew really what I was getting myself into, you know? So I think like what's cool about it is being young, you have just so much energy and so much excitement for the future, and just knowing that I was gonna have, a child to like bring into that future, to see myself with them in that future was like super exciting.
Was there a different emotion with the second one?
My second son, it was a different emotion because I actually tried to make him, to create him.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I remember I told all my friends, like, guys, I'm gonna make another baby, you know what I mean? And then like, I was shortly after, I was like, guys, I made another baby. And then, I was super excited for him too, because I wanted my son to have a brother.
Yeah.
And just a companion, whether it was brother or sister, just a companion to grow up with.
In the first year, what was the best part about having a kid, and also what was the hardest part about having a kid?
The best part about having a kid was just seeing this little being that is half you, like just tripping out on the whole, you made this person and you get to raise them and watch their development and just watch them grow. The hard things about it were the realities of you're responsible for this little life. Like in the beginning, obviously it's changing diapers, feeding throughout the night, not getting any sleep.
Word.
It's sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's a sacrifice in your own time, what you want to do. It's like, it don't matter what you want to do anymore. It's what the kid needs, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's hard at first. Especially, it gets easier after the first year. It gets a lot easier.
Yeah. What about you, Ben?
In the first year, everything's really exciting. I think one of the best parts is like, really like my family kind of all coming together, because when there's a new baby in the picture, like everybody wants to, be a part of that. And I really enjoyed that part, you know what I mean? Just everybody kind of just coming, together for my son. And then the hardest parts, I think, was just definitely just adjusting, you know what I mean? Adjusting like your life to really accommodate for, a new person in your life, and becoming just like this person is like, okay, I gotta do what I gotta do for my son,
Yeah.
And then definitely like relationships too, because your life changes and things become different. Sometimes, you lose people during that, going through that, because, like you just have a different way of looking at life now. You know what I mean? So that happens.
What about you, Ronnie? It's all fresh, it's like you're still like kind of in that.
Going through that first year, just the best parts are just watching her grow, because I feel that literally like every week I feel like I'm seeing something different, you know? Like,
Yeah.
she's a year and a half. I'm starting to see her mannerisms now, and like what she's picking up from me and what she's picking up from my wife.
Yeah.
And you know, she's already trying to like roll around, which is really cute.
Yeah.
I love it. The hardest part is obviously just as a b-boy, I travel a lot too, so
Yeah.
not being around her and missing certain moments, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, as a father, I do my best to try to be around as much as I could. I'll even bring him out to wherever I'm at, you know.
Dope.
But yeah, so far everything's been great. I don't really feel like there's anything really that, I guess our perspective too, you know, now that I'm older, like
Yeah.
I've learned from like my friends that do have kids.
Yeah.
So I always just try to look at like, okay, what's the worst case scenario and best case scenario, and so far it's just been a big blessing, you know. Like I don't feel like I've experienced anything too stressful.
Yeah.
To the point where like, you know, like we're planning on having a second one. We're excited, you know, about
Yeah.
having another kid.
Nice. How has the b-boy scene or your crew helped you through tough times, or things that you felt like unprepared for?
Let's see, that's a good question. I feel like I really grew up, around the b-boy scene, and so, I kind of look at things in life with the b-boy mentality sometimes, like, and I think that's been the biggest blessing that breaking and being around my crew also has like given me. I feel like it's given me kind of like the tools to figure things out, like, or to accomplish a goal that I want to achieve. If there's something that I want to do in my life, I kind of look at it like, there's a time when I couldn't do air flare, but I visualized myself doing it, and I believed that I could get it, and I would practice until I made it there, so it's like I would see the goal, and I would just keep working towards it until it was there.
Yeah.
And I feel like the b-boy mentality kind of like has helped me kind of use that in other aspects of life.
Yeah. What about you, 18, especially like you having a brother that is in your crew?
I was lucky enough that my brother was a father already, bringing his daughter to practice. When I had my son, he would always be at practice, and there were like 3 other people in my crew. I know Roland had kids around that age. Mark had a kid at the time around that age, and it was kind of like we had almost like a little daycare. You know what I mean?
Word.
We would take turns watching kids, but also like it's like a network. You know what I mean? Like our crew's like we're like brothers. You know what I mean? Like I would watch their kids if they were in a pinch, and vice versa. And then you also know that you trust and love these people, so you're comfortable with your child being in their care. You know what I mean?
Dope. Yeah.
So it's like a little support system, really.
Yeah.
But not everybody's, if I was the only one with a kid in the crew, it'd probably be a different story.
What about you, Ronnie?
Well, with Full Force, we started back in '95, and if we're talking about like their support as a b-boy, they've always like supported me. Even back when we started, I always felt like I was like the wackest one in the crew. I used to look up to all of them, and but I was the only one that really kind of stuck with it from the beginning, and they would always just believe in me and tell me like, no, you're gonna do big things, whatever. And I've always felt like I got that support for them on that side. And as far as like being a parent, because I was the youngest, majority of them had kids before me.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot from them, especially my older brother, who's like the founder of Full Force. He has 3 kids now. So I've always felt that when he had his kids, like I always treated them like, these are like my nieces and nephew. And so I learned a lot from him, just being a father. And now like he's kind of like that person that kind of gave me like the structure, like how to be a good father, how to be a good husband.
Yeah.
So I definitely learned a lot from him and the rest of the guys from my crew. So
back in the day, like people thought, like a lot of people, or even still today, like if you have a kid, that's it, it's a wrap. Like you're not gonna be able to do nothing, practice no more. Or, like you gotta stay home. And how are you managing like still dancing, still competing? Because I still see you. You just competed. You're just battling people. Like how do you manage like all of that, especially it's so brand new? Like
for me, it's the complete opposite. I feel that now that I do have a kid, I feel like I have more energy, and for one, it's like I'm just like a happier person now. So when I do have time to train, because of the priority, you know, like
Yeah.
I know I don't have enough time like at the studio to train during open sessions, so I'm gonna try to make the best of it, you know.
Yeah.
And I feel that like everything is accounted for now. So I'm gonna go to practice, I'm gonna train. Just responsibility in general, you know. I feel like I'm a lot more responsible now,
Yeah.
which means that even as a dancer, I'm more responsible.
Yeah.
And everything I do, you know, I have to make sure I do it like, because you know the motivation is there. It's like I'm not just doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my family. So I feel like it made me a better person having a daughter, and even a better b-boy at that. You know.
Dope. Well, what about you, Ben? How did you manage it? And did it change, like with the two kids?
I think when I first found out the news and everything, I of course I was happy, but then there was a little part of me that kind of like panicked too. And I remember thinking like, all right, I gotta just get as many jobs as I can get. You know, I remember I had 2 jobs. I was like bar back, and I was like promoting, you know, and then so I was just trying to work as much as I could, try to get as prepared as I could, and so I was putting breaking like on the back burner. But then I knew deep down it was like, you know, in my mind it was like, okay, this job is just for right now, you know, until I figure out how I could really break full time. But I remember it was like a gig that came up, and it was like to go to Iceland and to dance with my crew, do a little TV show thing. And I asked my boss like, hey, I'm gonna need this day off, you know? And he said no. And I remember thinking like, you know what, like this is never gonna work. I can't lie of like who I am, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can't suppress myself. So I just quit. I was like, you know what, I'm out, you know? And I never looked back, you know? Like, and I think like when you love something, you find a way to make it work, you know? And your kids and all that, they're really gonna look up to you on the decisions that you make, you know what I mean? And I think like if I lived a life that where it wasn't making me happy, you know what I mean? Then it would reflect on how I would be around them.
Yeah.
So I just went for it, you know?
Yeah.
And handled it. Of course, it wasn't easy, you know, but you know, as long as you keep going at it, you know what I mean, you'll be fine.
Actually, when I became a father, my breaking career kind of took off. So
Yeah.
It was I think, well, one of the main reasons for my situation was my girl was super supportive. She knew that when we first met, breaking was my priority. It was my priority to make a name for myself, to travel, to you know, do everything I could to get it out of my system, to, you know, just reach my goals basically. And she was a big factor in that, with supporting it. And you know, having a kid, it's like Ronnie said, it's motivation.
Yeah.
It's crazy motivation. You want your kid to be proud. I don't know, it puts things into perspective. Again, like Ronnie was saying, your time is much more valuable. You have to prioritize like crazy.
Yeah.
You know, you have to make the best out of the 2 hours that you have. You know what I mean? There's no messing around at practice. It's like, okay, I have from now to now to train, and I'm gonna get it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What are maybe some of the mistakes you could look back on, is there anything that you would like maybe regret, or like dang, I could have did this, maybe something that might help a father?
You know, I think as a father, you just always want to do more for your kids, you know, give them more opportunities. You know, anything that has gone down in my life, you know what I mean, that maybe was like, maybe choices that I've made that affected all of us, you know, maybe on a financial aspect, or even an aspect of like having more time with them. You know, I think I've always kind of looked at things like that I had to do the most. You know, I was always trying to fill up my schedule and be really active, and there was times where I felt like I even kind of put that as like a huge priority to be a better parent, because I would think that I would need more currency or more money to be that better parent.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really just about being there, you know, and just having time with them, you know. I've experienced kind of both, you know, like having, being really busy, and then having, time where, I'm not as busy, and I can see like just the impact that I've had on my children from just kind of being with them more, No matter what, the most valued time that I've had is when I'm with them, you know what I mean?
Word.
And doing and creating like little goals for ourselves, you know what I mean?
So-
and including that with them, that's the most like fun and the most like I feel like that we've kind of built together. Like
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that's what it is. Maybe like to bring more things into our life where we're building together, because that's where I feel the most close to them too.
Yeah.
I truly believe that we learn from the things that aren't so great. And even looking at what I learned from my dad, I learned a lot of things watching my dad of what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're all lessons, Of course, your kid looks at you for an example. Once they grow up, they realize that, your dad just becomes a person. They're just a person like you. There's no handbook to this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we're all just trying to do our best, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think our kids know that our intentions are there, you know what I mean? So I don't really have any regrets, just, I mean, if something catastrophic happened, then maybe I would have like some kind of regret, but, it all molds us into the people that we end up being.
What's the most unexpected thing right now, like going on with you and like with having a new kid? Like what's been hitting you that like you didn't think would be there?
It's so weird, man, because me and my wife, like, I feel like we literally planned everything,
Yeah.
So far nothing has like thrown us off. Oh,
Yeah.
I take that back. When my daughter got sick recently, that was just the hardest, just to see, cause we've been lucky to have like a happy baby. She's always laughing, she's always smiling, she's always playing. So she caught a fever, she had a pneumonia, and
Wow.
she wasn't even like a year and a half yet. This just happened a couple months ago, and it was the worst feeling, because there's like, you just feel helpless, like there's nothing you could do,
Yeah.
And so I would say that's probably like just, for me as a father, that was like the worst experience. And it's like we had to take her into the doctor, and it's like
Dang.
Hard.
Yeah. Especially when they're that young
First
too.
get
It's like
sick,
Yeah.
It's so scary.
it's really scary.
Yeah, and that helpless feeling is something that's just, I feel like that's even, I still go through that now, even when my kids get sick or when they get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, it's the worst when they get hurt, because you feel like just the power of just like the world, just the universe, you know what I mean? It's like, yo, like this is life, like anything can happen, and you feel so vulnerable sometimes, like when you have children, because something happens to them, it's like you know what I mean? Like you can't even imagine your life without them.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I feel very similar. It's rough. The helpless thing is real, totally real. Like, you're their protector. Like, you're there to protect them from anything, and certain things you can't protect them from. You do feel helpless.
Yeah.
And that's definitely very difficult to deal with. Yeah.
So before my daughter was born, I remember being at a house party with her and all her friends from Hawaii. They all have kids, and they were saying like, it's just that feeling that you get when you're a father. And it's like, I can't wait for that feeling. And when she was born, I did feel it, But now when I'm starting, like when they get older, then you really know that it's you can't really explain. When you're a father, it's just like, damn, it's a very special feeling, So I would say that's unexpected, because you hear it all the time, but I don't think you'll know the feeling until you really have a kid yourself, So.
I think some of the unexpected things for me is just sometimes like just how my kids are, like how they behave. Like I remember when I was a kid, I was like, damn, I was a bad kid, like, or I was just like, my kids are just chilling. They're just like so behaved. Of course, they're playing, they have fun, but they're really just good people, and they're like growing so like greatly, like I'm just loving who they're becoming, and it makes me proud. It really makes me proud. And now that my son is like pre-teen right now, like, so he He surprises me every day because I don't even know who's walking around my house sometimes. Like, who is that? You know, because he's growing so much, and it's like, it's surprising. It's like it almost feels like when you were saying about having a new, everything's new. Like I almost feel like my oldest son, everything's becoming new
again.
It's like a new kid now.
Yeah.
'Cause he's not a little kid anymore. Now he's changed.
Yeah.
So it's a new person. In a way. And I'm getting to know him as he's growing also.
Yeah.
It's like I can't think of him as the same kid that he was 5 years ago or 3 years ago or 2 years ago even because I have to keep up on how he's changing.
Hey.
It's crazy.
Yeah, before I had, obviously my baby's still really young, but every parent you would talk to, it's like they're always so proud. It's like their kid is always the smartest, is always the strongest.
Yeah.
They're always showing us pictures, Like you're that typical parent, but now I catch myself doing the exact same thing,
She's so smart.
No, really. Because I do know that my daughter is like, she's pretty strong, and I'm always like trying to but I know every parent says that about their kids, And so this one time that my wife, I was out of the country, she sent me a video, and was she like around 1, but she was already climbing out of her crib, like on her own, and I'm just like, damn, you can just tell she challenges herself, But which is cool. Well, like I said, every parent will say that about their kids. So here I am doing the exact same thing, But yeah.
Yeah, the checkpoints on how they develop are a lot of times are unexpected. How a lot of times you can see your own personality with what they do and their choices, or your significant other's personality and in how they make their choices, or just how they respond to something, or how they're developing. It's unexpected. It's funny to say it's unexpected because they are part you, you know what I mean? But it just takes you off guard a little bit when you see it.
Obviously, you guys kids break, and what's that relationship like with seeing them breaking or breaking with them, and how is that? What do you see? What are the differences of like how you guys grew up? Like, I'm pretty sure neither of you broke with your parents, So like, what is that like? What is that like breaking with your kid? And then what do you see about like in your childhood and the differences you had?
Both my parents were dancers when that's how I got introduced to dance. So I definitely see it's not the same. Like they weren't B-boys or anything like that. Like they didn't break or anything, but I definitely see. I feel like the reason I'm a dancer is because of my mother. My mother was a true dancer. She loved it. She had that passion for it. And so I see that in my son as well. So that kind of relation to dance and passion is definitely there in my son as well.
Yeah, like for me, my parents they weren't into hip hop or anything. They didn't dance,
Yeah.
So for me, when they saw me dancing, they didn't really support it at first until they saw that I was really passionate about it. And with my kids, I'm a B-boy, so I would take them, since they're babies, and sit them down, and then I'd be breaking, and they'd watch, and they'd also start breaking too, So it was part of their lifestyle, I guess, of growing up. But at the same time, like, it's different because I think our passions are different with it. Like, I don't know if sometimes, they do it because they like that relationship that they have with me with it, or if it's something that they're gonna do in their future. I don't really know. But at this point, like, it's something that we really connect with each other, and that's like something that I don't know. To me, it feels like that's the best part of our relationship almost, because it's like something like, I'm not telling them to go clean their room, I'm not telling them to do this. I'm like, yo, let's have fun, let's dance, you know what I mean? And let's work hard,
Yeah.
And so it's different than how I grew up.
Yeah.
It feels like an experiment almost. What's gonna happen, guys? Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine, like, just teaching a kid and then being able to dance with a kid. I teach is a blessing, so I can't even imagine like if it was my kid. Like, what was it like last year when your kid did the Battle of the Year with you? Like, what was that feeling like? I remember seeing the video, and being like, damn, to me, I was like, it felt so dope to me to watch, you know, and like being that I'm close to you, like I was like so proud. It was such a proud moment for me. But like, what was that for you, you know? Like,
for me, you know what it was? It was almost like, it felt almost natural because, you know, you're with your son all the time and your kids, and, you know, you're breaking together, and then this was just like a competition that we were entering, not expecting really to win. You know, we didn't really know what to expect, and then I think when I stepped back and I looked at like the video and all that, and then like the way that people did react too, they're like, wow, you know, and then I thought about, you know what? I remember when I was telling my son, I remember when your mom was pregnant with you, it was at Battle of the Year, and the first time that we won.
wow.
And I remember saying to her stomach, like, I'm gonna do Battle of the Year with you one day. And then it came true, you know, and then it really hit me like, wow, dude, this is an amazing moment, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just really just proudness, you know? I just really felt proud.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Just proud.
I feel like we're in this new wave of like a bunch of dads that are having kids that are breaking, you know, and like, because B-Boying is getting like mature, where we're able to break at, you know, such a older age now. And like, so you're seeing this difference of all these dads, you know, like, and that's what's important about what we're doing right now, you know, like telling these stories of that, because it is going to change society. You know, we are changing society. You guys are, you know, leading the example for the future, you know, like, and doing that. So what are maybe some of the things that you like seeing your kid yesterday battle, like what's going through your mind when you're watching them? Like,
oh man, it's crazy. I mean, everybody that's competed knows like how you feel before you compete. And even the day that you know you're competing, I always have this, I was explaining it to my son yesterday. I was like, because I asked him, I was like, are you nervous? He was like, yeah, kind of. And I was like, nerves are normal. I was like, to be nervous, I don't think you are nervous. I don't think we're ever nervous, because nervous means you are scared. And we're not scared, we're just anxious, because we know what we're doing. We do this every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no reason to be scared of it. So it's anxiety. But saying that, like, I'm more anxious when my son is competing than when I was competing.
yeah.
Like I wake up on a competition day and I feel like I'm competing. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to eat. It's a crazy thing, like, because you don't have control over it. You know what I mean? It's your son, and it means a lot to you because it means a lot to him.
Yeah.
And you know, you know what it's like to be in there and have those nerves, and you want him to do his best, but you also, even though if he doesn't win, it's good because you've been there, and what you've taken away from the losses, you try to help him take away from a loss as well, and have him grow and have that build a fire in him.
Yeah.
Like, he hates to lose, so I use that as motivation to help him train. Like, every time he's like, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, I'm like, okay, but you want to win, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't like that feeling of losing, right? I was like, this is where that feeling goes away.
What are some of the things that you take from your career and the path that you've chose and put it into the way you're teaching your kid?
Well, when my kid gets older, I guess one of the main lessons would be just to be patient, which I think in this generation, a lot of kids don't have that, you know, because they want everything. Everything's like instant.
Yeah.
So I would just teach patience, you know,
Yeah.
and timing. Like, everything's about timing too. Yeah.
I think like when I'm, as far as like taking from what I've learned in my career as far as dancing and b-boying, and then now that my kids are breaking, you know, and you know, I want them to be able to, you know, enjoy, you know, kind of the fruits of what dance and b-boying can bring, you know. So I always kind of keep their mentality just more positive. Of course, be competitive and do your thing, but you know, I also kind of am trying to teach them, you know, that this is also something you can have fun with and share with people. And So that's why even, you know, when I first started breaking, you know, I wasn't into like doing choreography or even learning routines, you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
more just, this is my time. And then as I grew, I realized, oh, you know what, you know, I got to learn these routines so I can do this show or, you know, even make a little bit of money or whatever. And so even now, like, you know, that's something that I'm trying to get in their mind. Like, you know what, like, let's create these routines. Let's work on these routines because then this is something that, you know, like, hey, it might not even be your main thing, but if you always got in your pocket that you can pick up some choreo and you can jump on stage with some people, then hey, you can make a little bit of money on the side of,
Yeah.
even if your main focus is something else, it's still something that can help you, you know? And so I'm kind of training them a little bit like that, like be a little versatile, learn
Yeah.
as much as you can.
Yeah, versatility is key, especially if you want to make a living out of this. The more versatile you are, the more employable you are. That's something I tell my son all the time. I try to have him, he was taking hip hop classes for a little bit, but he wasn't really super into it. I think I'm gonna make him do it just because,
Yeah.
you know, he wants to be he loves all of it, but he gets, he's one of those kids who's good at things off the bat.
Mhm.
So it scares me a little bit because I'm like, okay, you still have to work hard. Like,
Yeah.
I tell him all the time, hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work hard.
Mhm.
So, and I tell him, I'm like, you're very talented, and if you work hard as well, you're gonna be great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you just rely on your talent, you're gonna be passed up.
Yeah.
So I try to instill hard work into him with, you know, still having fun.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I feel like it's like I was saying earlier, like where things are shifting, where you guys are all successful in what you guys are doing, and it's proven that they have the opportunity to do something with their dance, you know, where maybe with us, we had to prove
Yeah,
that
was
it can
unknown,
take,
yeah.
We
yeah.
didn't know where it was going, right?
Yeah, and now that you guys, you know, you guys have the kids, it's kind of like that mentality of like, you're seeing them, and then, but also knowing that, well, maybe one day he could work at it, you know, or you know, like does that even like change your thought? Like, I mean, you kind of like touched on it a little bit, like, you know, like forcing him to take a hip hop class and like, you know, things like that. Like, is there something that you like? What do you think about that? Like,
You know,
is that in the
it's
back of
good.
your head? You know, is
Yeah,
that in?
sometimes I think about it. You know, I think about it also like this because I'm like, you know, I'm not gonna stop dancing anytime soon. So guys, I'm gonna need you guys to be able to jump on stage and do a show with me. You know, because you know we can do this as a family. You know,
Yeah.
and it'll be something that, you know, of course, you know, I just know how kids' mentality is. A lot of times they don't want to be exactly like their dad. You know,
Yeah.
and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But I think if this is something that we can do together, at the end of the day, you know, that's it's just a positive thing, you know. It's
Yeah.
gonna keep us close, you know. We're gonna have fun doing it, and so yeah, you know, in ways I do think in my mind like, dude, like, you know, I'm kind of getting them ready, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
let's do this together, you know. 'cause-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so fresh, man. What's like the main important thing that you're trying to teach a kid?
I think for me is for them to believe in themselves, you know, because I could see when they second guess themselves, and that's what that hurts me. I'm like, you know, and then I'll tell them like, dude, you can do. I know you can do it. You know, you have to believe in yourself. You have to tell yourself. You know, you have to tell yourself. Like, and sometimes when those thoughts come in, that doubt, you have to not physically, but really like consciously make an effort to be like, no, tell yourself different. You know, believe in yourself, and that comes with practice. You have to practice believing in yourself, and I think that's the most important thing. Because I know that's in my life. That's what's helped me, you know. That's what helps me every day, you know. It's
Yeah.
like I believe, you know. I gotta
Yeah.
believe. If I don't believe, then
Yeah,
you know,
who is?
ain't no one gonna believe.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Word.
I just want them to believe in themselves. That's it.
Simple, just work hard, stay positive, you know,
Yeah,
have good morals, have good principles. you know.
that's pretty much you. You know?
Yeah, about the same.
Yeah.
Carry yourself with honor in all things that you do.
Yeah.
be a good person, treat others how you want to be treated.
I guess one last thing before we close it out is let's talk real quick about that battle. When is it?
Oh, yeah.
When is it?
The 8th, right? Or no, July
7th.
July 7th?
July 7th, yeah.
So July 7th,
Yeah, we're
you
doing-
two are doing
it's
an
like a little
exhibition
exhibition
with your kids.
with our kids.
With
yeah.
your kids.
So it's gonna be, you know, we've known each other for so long, since before we even had kids. So
Yeah.
now to do this is gonna be so fun, and it's like just so cool to see, really to see time. Like, wow, you know, we've been dancing this long now. Our seeds are dancing, and now we're gonna do this exhibition. Like, it's really cool. It's like I feel like, you know, it's like a landmark. Like, wow, we made it here. You know, like.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
So, and what is the event?
It's the Knucklehead Zoo anniversary, July 7th. It's that whole weekend. So
Yeah.
It's gonna be over at Ninja Karaoke for, yeah.
So this will be out before then. So tune into the battle. Will it be live streamed? Because I want to tune in if I'm not here.
I'm not sure if it is.
If not, we'll catch the video.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for doing this. I appreciate you guys, and you know, this is inspiring for me. You know, I don't have any kids, but to see you guys doing that and inspiring future fathers, and you know, inspiring the kids like that, it's really dope. So thank you guys.
Thank you, man.
Yo, happy Father's Day. Shout out to all the fathers out there. Keep doing your thing. We need y'all. The kids need y'all. Blessings.